two. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the November 14th, 2017 Board of Education meeting. We are, thank you for being here tonight. We are going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. That's 2.0. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next up, we have approval of the agenda. Do any board members have anything that they'd like to change on the agenda this evening? Okay, moving along. 4.0, Dr. Smizer, we have recognitions and reports.
It's nice to see so many people here today. We are honored tonight to recognize musical greatness and two fantastic PSD partners. Danielle Clark, our Executive Director of Communications, will introduce the honorees.
Thank you, Dr. Smizer, Mrs. Kipp, members of the board and community. So I'd like to invite Melissa Flail, our music facilitator, to come up and join me. Where are you? Oh, there you are. So this evening we're going to honor several schools that have been selected to go to CMEA down in Colorado Springs. We're going to honor a state strings teacher of the year, as well as a wonderful band from one of our middle schools that went to a national festival. So, Mrs. Flail, it's up to you.
Thank you very much for being here. I always like to take the opportunity when we're recognizing our excellent music teachers and programs to thank the school board and the community for the support of music in our schools. We're very fortunate to have your support for music and all of the arts, and we really feel passionate about what that does for students, so thank you. I want to begin with our CMEA groups. CMEA is the Colorado Music Educators Association, and they hold an annual clinic and conference in Colorado Springs. And every year, numerous ensembles from throughout the state of Colorado at every level, elementary school, middle school, high school, orchestra, band, choir, send audition recordings, and it's a very competitive process. It's a real honor to be selected to perform at CMEA, and we have 4 groups selected to perform this year. So our first group that I would like to recognize is the Bolts Middle School Chamber Orchestra under the direction of Melissa Cloyce. Melissa, would you come up? So the Bolts Chamber Orchestra meets before school, and they don't have an everyday meeting time like a regular class, but they have submitted an excellent recording and are one of only 5 orchestras, secondary level, selected to perform from the entire state. So congratulations to Bolts and Melissa. And next I would like to recognize the Fort Collins High School Tower Orchestra, which is the chamber orchestra under the direction of John Hermanson. He cannot be here tonight because he's conducting a concert, but Jennifer Roth is here to accept on his behalf, so congratulations, Fort Collins High School. This year, Rocky Mountain High School, which always has excellent music programs, has 2 groups selected to perform at the Colorado Music Educators Association Conference. So we have the Rocky Mountain High School Rocky Mountain Singers under the direction of Elizabeth Howeiler, and the Rocky Mountain High School Rocky Mountain Winds under the direction of Scott Schlupp. So if you two would come on up. The music programs at Rocky Mountain High School have been very creative in achieving a schedule that allows students to participate in multiple music ensembles when their schedule might not always allow. And they've just had such excellent groups all the time, but we're really proud of them for having 2 groups selected to CMEA. Next, we would like to recognize the Colorado Teacher of the Year, String Teacher of the Year for the American String Teachers Association, Lonnie Abluda from Lesher Middle School, which is an IB World School. Lonnie was one of 3 final nominees and was selected by a vote of her orchestral peers to be the Colorado String Teacher of the Year. So congratulations to Lonnie and to Lesher Middle School. And last but not least, we have Mike Perez, who is the director of bands at Kennard Middle School, a core knowledge school. His symphonic band was selected by a recorded audition process reviewed by a national team of music educators who are considered elite experts. And they were selected as the first middle school band from Colorado to perform at the Music for All National Concert Band Festival. So the Kennard Middle School Symphonic Band will travel to Indianapolis in March to perform for that conference, and it's a very big honor. So Mike, will you come up, and congratulations. And again, thank you to the board, thank you to the community for your support.
I guess I'll say something. This is a wonderful opportunity. We have a great number of music programs across the district, and to have this many honored at one time is speaks well of our whole program. And thank you all for your good work, and we look forward to more good reports in the future. Thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Thanks for coming. Congratulations. Thanks for being here. Congratulations and thank you for being here. Congratulations and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Dr. Flail, and all of our recipients of our amazing performing arts programs at our schools. Now we're going to recognize two programs, 3 different partners that work with us on it. So we're going to start with Project Smile. So Mr. C, if you're here, if you'd like to come up, and if you'd like to invite anybody from your wealth of volunteers and board members. So we're going to talk about Project Smile, which is a local nonprofit that works to help our students with their dental health. And then as part of that, we will next honor the Lions Club with Vision, and then we'll go on to Coats and Boots. So we'll start with Project Smile.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for this recognition. We've been doing this for 10 years now. We started actually in Irish school. Brenda Gifford was the principal there at that time, and we'd done Coats and Boots for 1 year, asked her what else we might do, and she said, these kids need dentistry. That was a lot to bite off. But with the help of the community and a lot of good people, dentists that got involved, we were able to treat and screen for dentistry the kids in the elementary schools. Right now we're screening in 7 different schools. We hope to add 1 more this year. But we treat any child in the district who is eligible to go to a district school. If they have a dental problem, if they're in pain, we'll take care of them. So we get people from all over the districts, kids from all over the district, as the nurses identify them, as the health techs identify them, or as our screening identifies them. We have people in that get them into a dentist's office. We pay for whatever needs to be done. We have dentists that do some pro bono work for us. We have fundraisers, and the community has supported us very, very well. So we hope to have another 10 years under our belt. We have some people with us that have worked for us long and hard. This is our treasurer, Jolene Toth. Then Jeannie Kraft. It was a first grade teacher at Irish for 27 years. She's joined us as our operations manager now. Then we've got Carol Kitchell, who is also going to be up in a minute because she's in charge of the Lions Club Vision project. As we screen for dentistry, we also screen for vision. Then we've got Pat Reed, sorry. Pat was our executive director last year, and he is still on our board this year. So he's done an awful lot of good work and fundraising for us. So with that, I want one more guy that couldn't be here. Ron Lotzenheiser, his grandson, needed a Vietnam vet to interview. So he went to Michigan for Veterans Day. But Ron is very special to us. He's the founder of both of our programs, and without a Ron Lotzenheiser, this wouldn't happen. Between Ron Lotzenheiser and a man you'll meet later, Don Butler, fantastic guys, and we owe them a great debt of gratitude. Thank you.
So now, Carol, if you'd like to come up and talk about the Lions Club, who partners with Project Smile to do vision screening.
Good evening. We indeed are the vision part of Project Smile, and the Lions Club also has a standalone program called Colorado Kids Site, where we go in and screen preschoolers. But with Project Smile, of course, we do the entire school population of those whose parents say, yes, you can test our kids, et cetera, et cetera. I have a wonderful team that works with me and backs me up and does all the grunt work. I just go around and say, yeah, you just need to stand over there, or that's a better place, kind of thing. So we're very, very happy to be able to take care of the children, and it's a wonderful opportunity for us. It's not often that a lay person gets to change the life of a child, or have the opportunity to change the life of a child. And if we find a kid that needs glasses and can't see, and we find him and provide the glasses for them, that's a life-changing thing, as we all know. So anyway, and thank you for recognizing us. I appreciate it.
What an amazing team. This is so exciting for me to be able to give them their recognition, because I've worked with every single one of these fabulous folks on the board and watching the screenings. And one thing I found when I first joined the board, and I thought that it totally made sense, that a child has a very difficult time learning if their teeth hurt or if they can't see. And that's exactly what Project Smile and Lions Club does for our kids in PSD, and I'm just extremely proud of them.
Okay, so while they're finishing up, we're going to move from eyes and teeth to arms and feet, and we're going to talk about the sister program Coats and Boots, which helps to outfit our students in need during the winter. So Mr. Butler, would you like to come up and talk about this wonderful program and what y'all do and how many coats and boots you pass out?
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me tonight. I don't have no help, and I didn't take any notes, so I'll just do the best I can. We started this program 11 years ago, 1 year before Project Smile and Ron Lotzenheiser went over to Irish, and Brenda Gifford said, these kids can't study if they're cold. So anyway, Ron came back to our group and said, we need to do something about this. This is Fort Collins. We can't allow this. So anyway, we started Coats and Boots, and Ron wanted to know if I'd run it, so I did. And we just started out as just helping Irish, but we teamed up with Jax the first year, and Jax has been really wonderful of helping us do this, because they went to Columbia, and Columbia said if we got these orders in the spring when they're changing their style, we could get really a good price on coats and boots. So the first year we got them coats and boots for $50, and these Columbia jackets are probably $100 jackets. And then as we went along, 5 years later, they went to $55, and this year they're $60, but that's still a real bargain. And Jax really puts a lot of effort into helping us get them out there and And we just wanted to make a difference in North Fort Collins. That's all we started out to do, was make a difference in our area. But we realized after we got to doing this that there was other kids in other schools in the South and all over Fort Collins that needed help. So gradually we did Putnam, and then we did Laurel, and we just kept adding schools. And I don't know, about 4 years into it, Alice Larson with Phase 2, she said, we're going to do all of the Poudres Elementary School District. And I thought, she said, what? And so anyway, that was our goal. We set that to be our goal. And this year we did 28 elementary schools in the Poudres School District. And I think about the only one we didn't do was Zach. They didn't need any help, but we offered it to them. And then there was one other little school up in the mountains we didn't do. And so we've got them all. And it's something that we feel real proud of, to be a part of, the city. We did it for a reason. We wanted to get our end of town, North Fort Collins, and that's where all the kids are. A lot of the kids were that really needed help, so we wanted to make a difference in that area, and so that's the reason we started it up. And so it's just, we did 970 kids this year, and I guess if your math's real good, you'd figure out what $60 times 970, and it started out just with our group to raise the money the first year, but after that, Jeannie Kraft, she's here tonight. She writes letters, and she's really good at it, and she made the city aware of that. What we're really doing is trying to make a difference, and there's a lot of, I don't want to call them needy kids, but there's a lot of kids that need help, and so if we can change a few of them's life so they got a better life, that's what we set out to do. And so it's really been something that we kind of grew into it. I would have never believed if we'd started big, we wouldn't have ever been able to do it, but we kind of grew into it. And so we're making a lot of kids happy, and I know most of the principals, and they really treat these kids just like their own kids. They really think a lot of them, and there's a lot of good principals. I know them all, and they're really good people, and I appreciate the time to come and tell you what we're doing, and we hope to be doing this for a long time. That we reached our goal, and now we just want to maintain it and make sure the kids are getting taken care of. So I appreciate your time.
Just a word. I've got to tell you, Don is the best fundraiser ever in the whole wide world. I mean, how much did you raise, Don?
We raised over $58,000. That's what it costs us for the boats and kids. But we work the year around for
Yeah,
to raise money.
all the time. So what I'm thinking, if he ever gives up coats and boots, if you have a nonprofit out there that needs fundraiser, talk to Don.
And that concludes our recognitions this evening.
We've had some seats open up front, so those of you who are standing in the back, feel free, don't be shy to come and sit down. And Dr. Smizer, it's time for the superintendent report.
All right, thank you. There's a few things that I've done since our last meeting. We had some outreach sessions at the Rotary and the group. It's been interesting as I go and talk to different civic groups around the district, how similar their questions and concerns and curiosities are. So it's been nice to be able to answer people's questions. I participated in an Excellence Through Equity event with Gary Howard, who's our trainer. I'm participating as I am available with our curriculum design building tours. We have formed up a group of people who are looking at new high schools around the state and around the country, what's going on with different designs for buildings and for what purpose. Not just to look pretty, but what are the functions that people are trying to accomplish inside their buildings. And that's been really interesting, very ongoing work that's happening in the district. Had a quarterly liaison meeting with City County PSD, participated with some of our board members. Also celebrated Literacy Week with second graders at Timnath Elementary. We're always looking for volunteers during Literacy Week if you like reading to small children. It's a lot of fun. Met with both leadership both in Fort Collins and Timnath. Attended an audit committee meeting. Thanks to those of you who participate regularly at, I don't know, 5:30 in the morning. That's what it felt like. I attended several principal levels meetings. We have, as one of our honorees mentioned, an amazing group of really talented principals, and it's a pleasure to work with them. We held one of our meetings at Woodward, where they hosted us and allowed us to, all of our leadership in the district, to take a tour of their facility. I was able to participate also with some students and teachers taking a tour. It's just one of many examples of partnerships we have with businesses in the community who are interested in supporting us because we are providing the pipeline of workers for what they need, and they're very interested and supportive in helping us understand how manufacturing as well as other jobs have changed over the years and help our teachers to stay up to speed. Attended a college track annual breakfast with Tony Frank in Denver. We also hosted a PSD Foundation and Community Leaders Summit. We have leadership from a lot of the large corporations that are meeting with me quarterly as we work to be tighter in sync and really understand, have our high schools really understand, and our middle schools and elementary as well, what the current job market looks like, what skills are needed by young people when they graduate high school and move on into further training. I also was able to, it was just great to be able to meet Dottie, who is one of our PSD graduates who has been an astronaut. It was just interesting to stand with a person and realize you walked in space. Can I touch you? It was fun. It was very interesting. She's very tall, so I asked her, so I picture astronauts as being shorter for some reason. Not sure why, just historically felt like you could fit in the little capsule better, you know. And she actually said that they are recruiting astronauts taller and taller. She worked with a male astronaut who was quite a bit taller than her, and she said that it's helpful to be tall if you're doing spacewalks because it's easier to balance all the equipment. And once again, I thought, I'm talking to somebody who did spacewalk. Okay. And then in cabinet, which is what we call these fine leaders we have over here of all of our departments, we've been working on many projects, one of which is what we call technology refresh, which is the process where we keep the machines that are in front of kids up to date. We only refresh certain numbers of them, certain percentage of them each year, but each time we do it, we are looking at what's the best that's out there, what's actually necessary for what we're trying to do, and then, of course, what's in our budget. We're also working on the District Unified Improvement Plan tool that schools and staffs and principals are using as they develop their strategies for ensuring that all kids achieve at high levels. And then we're also working on a lot of operational improvements within the district around how we purchase, how we secure contracts, and other operational processes that are difficult to change. I see Dave Montoya is rubbing his forehead as we're talking about making operational changes. Some of these are going to take us a while to get into place, but we are intent on being as efficient as we possibly can and also as transparent as is possible. I visited Irish, Dunn, Lincoln, Centennial, and Lesher. PCA, Fossil, Bacon, and PSD Global. And here are a few things that are happening in the district this month. We have career and college fairs going on. We have theater productions and music programs. You got to hear from and see some of our stars earlier in the day. We have work-based learning information programs that are going on in some of our schools. We also have medical career exploration opportunities with UC Health and Front Range Community College that are being held throughout this school year. And then, of course, we have the end of the quarter. So some students are preparing for exams, trying to get those last assignments turned in, and the normal routine that happens at the end of every quarter. We did have Turkey Roundup, which is a service project participated in by our schools, and our final number for this year was 1,674 turkeys collected by PSD families and donated, as well as $285. We also have Teen Talk series. School Psychology Awareness Week is this week. Can't thank our school psychs enough. We know how much our kids need them and how much our staff appreciates their expertise and their support for kids. It's one of the many functions we have of wrapping our arms around kids who are struggling for various reasons. And it seems that the need continues to grow and grow and grow. And that's all for me.
Thanks. And if you can pass the clicker down, we will have Director Patterson deliver the board report. Thank you.
Okay, so the board does a lot of work in between these meetings, and this is to give you a sense of what that is. So, got to do that. Okay. So there we go. Every year, we try to have at least one board member visit every school in the district, and so far, actually since the last meeting at the beginning of October, we visited Trout, Cruz, Shepherdson, Linton, O'Day, Zach, CLP Elementary, Linton, and Fort Collins High School. And if your school hasn't been visited yet, you should expect to hear from one of us, because we love to hear what's going on in the schools from the people who are actually working in the schools. And we do try to visit our district charter schools as well as the more traditional PSD schools as well. So we have several ongoing committees that we are liaisons to or participate in. They include the District Accountability Committee, the District Advisory Board, the PSD Foundation Board, the Audit Committee, as Dr. Smizer mentioned. And PSD Insight is a program that allows our community members, brings in our community members and helps to educate them about what's involved in running the school district and what are the challenges and whatnot. So I think our president presented at that this past month. In terms of board development, we try to continue to work together and learn so that we're a better board going forward than we were yesterday. We have informal board lunches so we can be comfortable working with each other. We also regularly attend CASB events, and in the past month there's been two of them, one of them the fall conference and the other the delegate assembly. I will say at the delegate assembly we districts from all over the state present resolutions that we would like CASB to support in terms of advocating with our legislators and whatnot on behalf of educational issues. And as has been the case for the past couple of years, our school district has put forth quite a number of resolutions in that space, and as I understand it, they were all approved, right?
They were.
Yes. That's great. And if you want, by the way, if you want to learn more about our legislative agenda, please contact any of us and we can get you a sheet which describes that.
And it's online.
Okay, good. We also try to work with folks in our community. We obviously hold, we have regular community engagement sessions. You'll hear about the next one on the last slide of this series. We Folks contact us all the time, I won't say all the time, but on a fairly regular basis to ask us about things and to talk with us about how things are going in the district, and we have discussions with them. We've also, in this run-up to the legislative session, which starts in January, have been meeting with all of our local legislators and also our State Board of Education representative to discuss the legislative agenda that I referred to earlier. Part of that work comes out of the Board of Education Legislative Subcommittee, which meets every meeting before this one. We participate in the Early Childhood Council. We've attended intergovernmental meetings with the city and county, as Dr. Smizer mentioned, also attended the State Legislators Forum on Tabor and funding in Colorado. As you know, funding for education and for, in fact, a lot of things is a challenge. It is likely to be a challenge, in fact, is a challenge going forward in Colorado. And so we want, the more people can be educated on that topic, the better they can help to determine how we meet those challenges going forward. That should say Museum of Discovery rather than Museum of Discoverer, whatever the heck that says. Anyway, we attended a meeting at the Museum of Discovery on the Arts and Culture Master Plan for Fort Collins and the Legislative Breakfast Town Hall on mental health care in the county. So speaking of school finance, we have a community engagement session on Saturday, November 18th. That's this coming Saturday from 12 to 1:30 at the Old Town Library. Normally, our community engagement sessions are simply an opportunity for you to meet with the Board of Education folks, and we attend, and some folks attend. But this time, in addition to the Board of Education, we'll have Dave Montoya, who's our Executive Director of Finance over there, yeah, absolutely, as well as state legislators John Kafalis and Joanne Janal, who will be there to talk with us also about the topic of school finance in particular. Again, I can't emphasize enough that there are going to be challenges, there are challenges, and there are going to be even more challenges going forward in the area of school finance. And so the more you can help to understand what's going on there and help to determine how we're going to resolve those challenges, the better off we're going to be. And this is part of our attempt to help educate and foster that dialogue. So that's the board report. Does anybody else have anything else they want to add?
Oh, Carolyn.
I would just like to take a few minutes and extend our condolences to the family of Josh and Kelly Cortez, who died in a really tragic accident on Thursday. Our condolences go out to the family and to the Greater Poudre High School community. I know it's been a pretty hard couple of years for Poudre High School, and we are very sorry for the loss to the community and for Poudre High School.
Thank you. Okay, that brings us to 5.0, which is community comment. We have one person to speak on the non-agenda related items. And remember, the folks of you who want to speak on agenda related items are including Compass. That will come a little bit later. But we have one person signed up to speak, and that's Kristen Draper.
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank the community for voting in this important election that was just here. So thank you for engaging in your civic duty. Yay! And I'm looking forward to the opportunity to serve. So that's feedback. Thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to it. And again, thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, that brings us to 6.0, consent agenda. May I have a motion on the consent agenda, please? Nate?
I move that the board approve and adopt the recommended actions for the items on the consent agenda.
Excellent. Rob wishes to second, it looks like. Okay, thank you. Okay, roll call, please.
Nate?
Yes.
Krista?
Aye.
Susan?
Aye.
Kathy?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Carolyn?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And that brings us to 7.0, which is informational reports and discussion items. 7.1, we have an enrollment update with Brendan Willits. And I have to say, if you are, no, go ahead up. I was just going to say that was quite a report that was in this month, or this this packet. A lot of great information there, so I'm sure you'll show us more of that. Thank you.
Good evening, Dr. Smizer, President Kipp, members of the Board of Education, and staff. My name is Brendan Willits. I'm the planning manager for the district. I'm accompanied this evening by data analyst Betsy Westbury and Ann Ligon-Harding. We are here to talk or provide you a quick update on two different topics. First is the update on the 2017-18 preliminary enrollment count. And second is to provide provide a recorded presentation from Cooperative Strategies on their 5-year enrollment projections based on the 2016-17 school year data. Cooperative Strategies is a firm that specializes in demographic enrollment, school master planning, and demographic analysis. Poudre School District hired Cooperative Strategies to perform 2 rounds of 5-year enrollment projections, one based on the 2016-17 school year data. That was what was included in the packet and what the recording this evening will pertain to. The second is another round of 5-year enrollment projections based on the 2017-18 data once we finalize gathering that data. And we hope to return in February to the board to present the findings from that 5-year enrollment projection. To start things off, Betsy is going to discuss the October count process and how it impacts the preliminary numbers that Ann will be speaking with.
Good evening, Board of Education. Included in your packet is the October count infographic as it's depicted here. The red arrow shows where in the timeline that we are located right now. As you can see, October count is a highly involved process that includes auditing, error checking, coordination with PSD sites, and analysis of the data that's being reported to the Colorado Department of Education. The first round of data was submitted November 10th. That was last Friday. This week, the Colorado Department of Education will begin the duplicate count process in which they identify students that are being counted by multiple districts. This could fluctuate enrollment less than 100 students to our final submission. Once the data is finalized to CDE on November 28th, the state will begin their internal auditing process, which will then take us through the January public data release date. Ann will now speak to preliminary enrollment numbers.
Good evening. These are preliminary October enrollment numbers as of November 2nd. These counts do not include PSD charter schools, PK students, Ascent students, or students in our expelled education program. As Betsy noted, there are several phases to the October count collection, and data is not submitted to the state until November 10th, which was just last Friday. Since November 2nd, there have been some small updates. Our overall count is actually 16 students higher currently than we have in this slide in front of you, but that didn't affect any individual school more than a couple of students, so you do have a pretty good concept of what our overall numbers are like. The duplicate count process will take place this week, and we don't have the results for that yet, but that could fluctuate our enrollment numbers a little bit. Our preliminary enrollment indicates that we are up at all grade levels, so at elementary schools, at middle schools, and at high schools, and that our district saw an approximately 1.45% increase going off of our most current numbers. That's a growth of 383 students from last October's enrollment, and is 289 students above the projections we released for this school year. Even if we were to drop 100 students through the duplicate count process at this point, we would still be up over 1%. As you know, we aim to be very conservative in our projections for this school year so as to not negatively impact the budgeting process. And we'll plan to wrap up projections for the next school year, the 2018-2019 school year this spring.
So what we're going to show you next is a recorded PowerPoint presentation from Cooperative Strategies. It's meant to act as an executive summary of sorts of the 84-page report that is included in the packet and will be posted online. As soon as I figure out which one it is. That's why you carry a spare.
Good evening. My name is Ann Hofsis, and I am presenting the enrollment projections developed for the Poudre School District for the 2016-17 school year. Cooperative Strategies developed 5-year enrollment projections for school years 2017-18 through 2021-22 based on historical enrollment and resident live birth counts, as well as a general housing and population review. In this presentation, I will review the methodology used as well as provide an overview of the data analyzed. The full report is available through the Planning, Design, and Construction Department. The cohort survival method is a popular methodology used to project K-12 enrollment. This methodology uses historical live birth data and historical student enrollment to age a known population throughout the school grades. The percentage of students who move from grade to grade, year to year, survival ratios, are analyzed to determine a projection ratio that is applied to current and future enrollment to develop the enrollment projections. The cohort survival methodology inherently considers the net effects of historical trends in migration, housing, dropouts, transfers to and from charter schools, open enrollment, and deaths. This methodology does not assume changes in policies, program offerings, or future changes in housing and migration patterns. Historical enrollment in the Poudre School District has increased by 3,304 students since the 2007-8 school year. There is a notable bubble in the historical enrollment that should be pointed out. Kindergarten enrollment peaked in 2011-12 at 2,029 students. These students are making their way through the system and were in 5th grade in the 2016-17 school year. They will be in 10th grade in 2021-22. 2016-17 K-12 enrollment was 26,487 students, not including charter school students. The number of students living within the Poudre School District attending in-district charter schools has increased over the past several years. In-district charter enrollment has increased from 1,999 students in the 2013-14 school year to 2,253 students in the 2016-17 school year, an increase of approximately 13%. The number of students living within the Poudre School District attending the Charter School Institute has increased from 237 students in the 2011-12 school year to 914 students in the 2016-17 school year, an increase of approximately 286%. The number of students who elect full-time home-based education has fluctuated between 258 and 354 students since the 2009-10 school year. 318 students elected full-time home-based education in the 2016-17 school year. The number of students who reside in the Poudre School District and chose to attend non-Poudre School District schools, not including district-approved charter schools, has increased from 717 students in the 2011-12 school year to 1,322 students in the 2016-17 school year, a choice-out increase of approximately 84%. Conversely, the number of students who live outside the Poudre School District and chose to attend schools in the Poudre School District has decreased from 1,334 students in the 2011-12 school year to 1,077 students in 2016-17, a choice-in decrease of approximately 19%. Prior to the 2015-16 school year, a great number of students who live outside the Poudre School District chose to attend PSD schools. However, since 2015-16, the trend has shifted, and in the 2016-17 school year, there was a net loss of 245 students as a result of choice. It is extremely important to keep a close eye on these trends, as they are difficult to predict and they do have an impact on projected enrollment. As policies in PSD and neighboring districts are changed or more or less strictly enforced, this will impact Poudre School District enrollment. Nationally, the live birth rate has declined since 2001 to an all-time low of 12.4 births per 1,000 in 2015. However, the actual number of live births has remained relatively flat during this time. Resident live birth counts for the Poudre School District were reviewed. Since 2002, the number of live births have fluctuated between a low of 1,879 in 2002 to a high of 2,161 in 2009, overall remaining relatively flat. Resident live birth counts are used to project kindergarten enrollment 5 years later. Building permits are reviewed to help explain trends seen in historical enrollment data and influence the determination of projection ratios to be used based on the analysis of survival ratios. For example, if we see some increases in survival ratios that coincide with increases in single or multifamily building permits issued, we can see that the district is likely gaining students from new housing. As long as the housing market remains as it has been recently, we can expect that trend to continue. Based on demographic data obtained from ESRI BIS, population estimates for Larimer County project an increase in total population and school-age population. From 2016 to 2021, the total population in Larimer County is estimated to increase approximately 11%, and the school-age population is estimated to increase approximately 6%. Cooperative Strategies provided a range of enrollment projections to the Poudre School District. The moderate projection reflects a 3-year weighted average of survival ratios at the school level. The low and high projections offer a more conservative and liberal approach surrounding the moderate projection. The recommended projection is based on a detailed analysis of survival ratios at each school by grade, by year, and reflects a more recent trends in the district. Over the next 5 years, enrollment is projected to increase approximately 5% from 26,487 students in 2016-17 to 27,824 students in 2021-22. These projections do not include charter students. Enrollment is projected to increase in the Poudre School District due to an increase in the birth-to-K ratio over recent years and a gain in students at most grade levels, greater than 100% survival ratio. Many factors can influence student enrollment. It is important for the district to closely monitor enrollment and live birth trends, as well as other factors that can cause significant change in student enrollment. Thank you. That concludes this presentation. If you have any questions, please feel free to forward them to me through Brendan Willits.
That concludes the information we'd like to provide you. We're more than happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Thank you very much. Board members, you have questions. Rob?
So I have a couple questions. I'll start with one. I noticed that this is the presentation and the enrollment thing is all based on kindergarten to 12. What about our early childhood and pre-K needs and how that is going to grow or not grow, and because that's going to factor into our building and other needs as well. So
I'll let Ann speak to the PK.
Sure. We could not provide PK data for the board by the due date because PK count actually takes place on November 2nd rather than October 2nd. It's a different count date, so we didn't have that data finalized quite yet. So at a later time, we should be able to update you with that information.
Okay, so we should be able to see that as part of the overall presentation in February then?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay, good.
And PK numbers are not, we utilize birth to K ratios, and we also use birth to 1 and then K to 1 ratios. PK are difficult when we're talking about enrollment projections because they don't necessarily correlate as well as one might hope or expect because of changes in private versus public
Sure.
dollars and a lot of other factors.
I understand.
That's typically why they're not as involved.
Okay. I'm hearing we'll get to see them anyway.
Yeah,
So
we
thank
just
you.
don't have them yet.
That's fine. Thanks.
Go ahead. I don't think I see anybody else with any questions. So.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that my understanding of the, we've certainly had questions from the public on this whole question of choice in and choice out. So that slide that shows, the reversal, if you want to call it, in the trend of the net number of kids coming into the district versus going out of the district. My understanding is that at the schools, particularly let's just say it generally, at the schools that are at capacity, we have been we've been careful not to invite or accept, maybe is the right word, school of choice kids into those schools. And that's part, probably not all of, but part of why those numbers have changed the way they have. Is that right?
That would be a correct assumption. The assistant superintendents would probably speak more eloquently to that, but yes, you'll see the large shift in the number of students who are choicing in. A lot of that is a direct impact of the district making a concerted effort to limit that choice in, especially in our periphery schools where we were having capacity issues. And that is definitely one of the major contributing factors, is the district limiting that choice in those impacted schools.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I appreciate that, and certainly some of those schools are closer to some of the places where we traditionally get folks from out of district. My understanding, though, is certainly in schools that have capacity, we're certainly still open to accepting students from out of district. Is that?
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
That's correct,
Assistant
Sandra?
superintendents would speak more.
Or Todd, or whoever.
Yeah, I would say I would say each school is different, surely. When they're looking at capacity, you're right about the border schools certainly have that issue, and other schools are open to that as long as they follow the policy of where they are in the number spot in the priority order.
Excellent. And I guess one other thing, Doctor, I think it's mostly for you, Dr. Smizer. I just want to say, for the public, I think I know the answer to this question, but just for the public, obviously we're continuing to update the long-range plan as information like this becomes available, and we'll see some updated version of that incorporating some of this information in the new calendar year.
Yeah, a second semester.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason we continuously do the updating of projections, is so that we can update our long-range plan.
Are there additional questions, the board? I do have a question. So apparently the consultant who has put together the report and slideshow, and by the way, if you're a numbers geek, going online and reading the report is like amazing. There's just like this wealth of information there. But if we wanted a longer, more detailed presentation, the company could come up in person and give that to us. I'm not sure, given the depth of information in the report, that would really be necessary. So I wanted to get a reading from the board on whether you thought we needed that or not. I'm just, maybe thumbs up if you want them to come, down if you don't think it's not. Okay. We have one person who wants more numbers, so I would suggest you forward your questions on to Brendan, and those can get answered. But I think the report has an incredible amount of information for anybody who's sort of a population, school enrollment numbers geek out there. Okay.
Well,
Rob?
I'd like to, so we heard we're going to get another report in February that incorporates some of their stuff. So, I mean, there may be a different opinion at that time, but at least my thumb was based on the current report and where we stand now. So.
Okay, thank you. Did you want to comment, Christoph?
So they are coming in February, are they not? Or
No, they're not going
Okay.
to, because unless the board wants a longer and more detailed presentation. Okay. I'm just going to take a brief pause here, and we had one person who didn't know how to sign up for community comment, and so they left their comments on paper for us and left. So it's about career pathways, so I'd ask everybody to take a moment and read that when you have time. And that will bring us to 7. Oh, thank you guys very much. We appreciate it. Okay, that brings us to 7.2, legislative discussion. As usual, the legislative committee, and actually we had more board members show up tonight than usual, so I think we had nearly the entire board there for our legislative, or at least part of our legislative committee tonight. We discussed our school finance forum that we're going to be holding on Saturday, if we haven't talked about that enough. Come if you are at all interested in how schools are funded, how the state is funding education, how the state might fund education in the future, how we can keep from getting less money put into public education. It's a good thing to come to noon to 1:30 I don't know, I have this mental block, noon to 1:30 p.m. at the Old Town Library. We'd love to see you there. Let's see, other things that we're talking about. We have, Nate took on a job for us at the last legislative committee meeting, which was to put together a letter to our federal officials, our federal elected folks. So that would be U.S. Senators Bennett and Gardner, and U.S. Representatives, all the ones in Colorado, including ours, who's Polis. And we would be wanting to send this letter on behalf of the Board of Education out, but we do need Board of Education approval to do that. So I don't think we need to read the letter here, but we do need to have a motion and a second and a vote in order to sign this letter on behalf of the entire Board of Education. David?
I move we distribute the letter to all the people who are listed as recipients on the draft.
Okay, may I have a second? Okay, second. Nate, you seconded it. Okay. And is there any discussion on this? Nate?
I was going to read the letter. No, I'm just kidding. I just wanted to highlight a few things. In the letter, we highlight 4 federal policies or programs. One is extension of the CHIP health insurance program. 2 is preserve the state and local tax deduction. 3 is full funding of the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, also referred to as IDEA. And 4th is continue funding for the E-rate program, which is an FCC policy relating to internet connectivity. We've also received some information that's a little more specific on the Children's Health Insurance Program, and some people that we work with have recommended that we include in our letter asking for maintaining the full prevention and public health fund, which might be used to fund part of the extension of the CHIP fund, but these folks are saying that Congress should not use that and maintain that full funding. So I had intended to include that in addition to what we've drafted so far.
That sounds good. So I probably would need to make an amendment to it in order to do that. But before we do that, are there any other thoughts or amendments that anybody would like for the letter? Okay. Oh, Nate.
And in addition to that, we do have some numbers on families in PSD that would be affected by or are affected by the expiration of the CHIP health insurance program. So I would ask that we amend the letter to include both the prevention and public health fund and some numbers about the impact in PSD.
Okay, and before we vote on that, I want to just ask everybody, I know it says for me to sign it on behalf of the Board of Education. I think these letters are kind of more effective when they have all of our names and signatures on there, so I would propose that in addition to Nate's suggestion, that we also add everybody's names, because they don't always perceive how things are intended without it being spelled out, so I would just like to do that. Folks are good with that? Okay, so I think what we need to do is amend the motion and vote on the amendment, and then we need to vote on sending the letter. Does that, as amended? Does that make sense?
So I would move to amend the motion by
Amend the letter.
adding reference, as I just stated, reference to maintaining full funding for the Prevention and Public Health Fund, and a reference to the number of families in Poudre School District that would be affected by, that are affected by the expiration of the CHIP
And
health insurance.
And all our signatures.
And all our signatures.
Okay,
Yes.
Christoph?
If we're all going to sign the letter, do we need to vote on it?
We need to vote on it regardless. So that's, we're going to, now we need a second to Nate's motion. Then we're going to vote now, if everybody's amenable to that, on how we would like to have the letter amended. And then, so that would be to the previous motion. Then we will vote on the original motion, which will include the amended letter. And I know that's a little confusing. That's why we don't go more than 2 levels deep on this. So can we take a roll call on that amendment? And
Do we
then
have
we'll.
discussion on the amendment?
Did you get the second?
Yeah, we had a second.
No, I just want to make sure that Kyla got it.
Okay. So did anybody wish to discuss the amendment? Okay. So let's go ahead and do a roll call on that.
Nate?
Yes.
Christoph?
Aye.
Susan?
Aye.
Kathy?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Carolyn?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. Now, any discussion on the letter itself? as amended? Okay, so can we go ahead and do a roll call on that?
Nate?
Yes.
Christoph?
Aye.
Susan?
Aye.
Aye.
Kathy?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Carolyn?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Additionally, at the legislative session today, we had more discussion on how our progress in working on our legislative agenda and how we might get certain parts of our legislative agenda sponsored by legislators and put out as bills so that we can then lobby to get those bills passed and get part of our legislative agenda adopted. And anything else that anybody wishes to bring up from legislative? Okay. Well, thank you for that. And Nate, you're going to put together the amendments and get it a copy to Tessa, and then we'll get it all signed and sent off. Okay, perfect. Thank you. That brings us to 8.0, action items. And 8.1 is Compass Community Collaborative School Charter Application. And this is the part where I'm going to go grab the list of those of you who signed up to speak, and then we will allow those of you to speak. Let me just make a comment or two. If you make community comment, you do it from this podium here. Let me see how many people are signed up. Hang on. So we have about 15 people signed up to speak. Since we have a lot of people, if it's acceptable to everybody on the board, I would like to have everybody do a 2-minute community comment on this instead of a 3-minute community comment. And is that acceptable to the board? Nate?
I was just going to mention that it might be helpful to get a show of hands to make sure that there's still 15 people here that wish to speak, so we know how many people are actually intending to speak.
I'm guessing if all 15 are here. So if it's acceptable, we will put down the ad hoc rules of 2 minutes per person, just so that we can try and keep the community comment section to 30 minutes. So are we ready? Oh, and I was going to explain that the little green light will come on when you have your full 2 minutes. When you have 1 minute left, the yellow light will come on. And when your time is up, please do wrap it up. The red light will go on, and I really hate interrupting people and asking them to wrap it up because I don't like to do that. So if you could please hold it to 2 minutes, I'd appreciate it. First up, we have, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, Denichinu Otsufa? Okay.
Well, good evening. My name is Denichiro Otsuga. Most recently, I was the president and the CEO of a venture capital investment group, and also a CEO of a co-working space for entrepreneurs. I was able to bring over $1 million of investment capital to the community to help startup companies in the regions and create jobs. I attribute my career success to a particular type of learning environment, which I only discovered when I was starting my doctorate training in a graduate school. In graduate school, my learning had a purpose. Additional knowledge was practical, and education was self-directed. I was provided with resource and freedom to experiment, surrounded by mentors and who challenged me to think critically and only reach conclusions supported by data and analysis, and encouraged me to innovate and discover something new that no one else on the planet has found yet. Obviously, this type of learning environment was very useful to creating a PhD molecular geneticist like me, who would go on and do great things, such as finding a cure for disease, but also very useful in creating entrepreneurs, and also, as you discovered, creating entrepreneurial, innovative, and community-minded executive. Compass Community Collaborative School will bring this type of learning environment, which I only discovered in graduate school, to 6th and 12th grade students in the community. I know that this type of program will prepare students to become entrepreneurial, innovative, self-directed, analytical, and tenacious person who will be successful in today's highly competitive international labor market.
Thank you.
For
If you
this
could wrap it
reason,
up.
I request your utmost consideration to approve Compass Community Collaborative School to be part of the Poudre school system. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have, and I'm going to have trouble with this again, Surya Vijayasathuri. And just as a reminder, there's plenty of seating available up front if those of you who are standing would like to come sit.
All right, ready? All right, hi, my name is Surya, and I am on the board of Compass, but I also wanted to speak here a few words on behalf of the school as a community member, but also as someone who owes a great deal to charter education. Charter schools created the bedrock of my education. Went to Charter Academy for the first 2 years of elementary school, and then went on to Liberty Common from 3rd to 8th grade. Then I went on to Poudre High School, and then CSU, studying sociology with concentration in criminal justice. What strikes me so much about Compass Collaborative is not so much its commitment to academic learning, which it definitely has, but it's also its commitment to imparting on students social and emotional competencies. Those are critical skills that I use in my work every day. I'm a victim advocate with the Fort Collins Police Department, and I've engaged in the work in social work and advocacy for the past 2 years now. Being able to bring in resources for a victim of crime, being able to support them in the moment of their need, and be able to help best prepare them for the path forward, those are all things that require a great deal of emotional maturity and and understanding of community resources and collaboration. I believe that those are skills that can never be learned too early, and I believe that Compass Collaborative does a great job of, in its philosophy, to committing to those and teaching students to be able to use those emotional maturity and the social competencies that can be used across disciplines in any career path and better prepare students for a very complex modern workforce. So, thank you, really appreciate it.
Thank you. Next up, we have Jenny Findlay.
Does this just start on its own? All right.
Go ahead.
It's kind of intimidating.
Just start as soon as you get it.
All right. Hi, I'm Jenny Finley. As a former teacher, a current full-time mom of a PSD student, and wife of PSD teacher, I have a lot invested in the PSD school system. And that is exactly why I'm standing here before you tonight, advocating on behalf of Compass Community Collaborative School. I'm a huge education and curriculum geek. Raging Friday night used to involve curling up with Wiggins and McTeague, designing lessons for the upcoming week, and working with this Compass team, I am in very good company. Compass team understands that teaching is not just a job to do, it is in fact an artful craft. That is at the key of this issue. They, lesson and unit design, it can be harmonic, it can be complex as a symphony. Throughout my experience as a parent and as an educator, I have learned that when you have a well-designed, real opportunity to put in front of kids, to grapple with, to get messy with their education and their learning, and then you give them time to authentically listen to them. Don't cut them off and listen to what their experience was. They often blow you away with the depth of their insight. Some teachers call it an aha moment. Some teachers call it getting into a flow with your student, your teaching and learning. I just think it's super kick butt. It's like Star Wars wrapped up with Karate Kid, and it's, with Mr. Miyagi and Daniel-san doing his thing, and it's just this thing that you can feel, it's palpable. Students and teachers share in those aha moments, and these are the kinds of educational experiences that this group can provide, and it's that every student deserves. In a nation where the average public school teaching career is now barely 5 years before early burnout, you have sitting before you a team of educators that collectively hails well over 100 years of service to this district. Thousands and thousands of students served, and they forge on.
And if you could wrap it up.
You got it. I'm on this. The force is strong with these folks. They deserve a chance to put Compass model to the test, and the proof will be in the pudding. So, thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Christine McLeod. Christine McLeod, are you here?
Hi, I'm Christine, mother of the herd that's running rampant in your other room. Echo, come here. So, just quick story. The idea of Compass, what it meant to us, is they said it was faces of the community. My son here was part of the pilot program at Shepherdson for your autism program. He was one of the very first. There were only 3 students when it was taught by Regan Mason. It was fantastic. Now I think there's 3 or 4 classes full of autism students at that school. What Compass means to us is a school that our son went to a meeting and said, I want to go to this school. And they accepted him, and it meant a lot to us to know there's somewhere that he can be involved in his community. In the entire time he's been at Shepherdson, he's never made a friend. He's never been involved. He does amazing at the work, but he doesn't have a way to interact with his peers. He's there but not accepted. And I felt like with the team here, the way that science mixes with the English, the way the age groups mix, he has an opportunity to excel where he's great and be able to be heard and be able to be adapted and hopefully be self-sustaining in Fort Collins. And honestly, I think the biggest thing for us is maybe even get a job, be known in his community, and be able to be self-sufficient. So to us, I've been my son's advocate his entire life, and to us, Compass is the next step. So thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Brad Sparks.
First of all, I would like to say thank you for taking the time to listen to us as community members. My name is Brad Sparks. I am the father of Rowan Rose, who is Compass's youngest enrollee at 10 months old. This is not a gimmick or a way to garner numbers, as you might think. It is an endorsement of the opportunities that I want her to have as she grows into a confident, loving, and thoughtful young woman. What I want to talk about tonight briefly is that there are times when established processes are the most healthy and most efficient and most successful for a community to operate out of. And there are also times when innovation and new perspectives and new ideas are what best spur that community forward. And we are here tonight because Fort Collins is in a place and time where innovation and new perspectives and new ideas are propelling us to be one of the best places to live in this entire country. And you guys as a board have been elected by members of this great community to be leaders for us and a voice for us. Yet, we are here tonight as a part of something that is bigger than just you as a board and us as community individuals. We have the rare opportunity that not many have to impact the growth and the outlook and the well-being of who we are now and who we want to be. And the decision that will be made here tonight has a profound effect on not just us, but our children and their children. And I would just ask that you as a board can see the impact that Compass can have in our community and the lasting legacy that you guys can have by bringing it into reality. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Sarissa Stevenson.
Hi, my name's Sarissa Stevenson, and I am here tonight as a parent. I have a kindergartner and a 4th grader in Poudre School District, and we've been involved in project-based learning for a long time, and at the Early Childhood Center at CSU, and now at Olander. And so what's the next step? So I think Compass has resonated with me since the beginning because of that piece, and that philosophically it was interesting for me to explore. But I also have a kindergartner who's cut for school, does well, loves school, is doing great and thriving. And I have a fourth grader who has a very different story. And he doesn't like school, and he holds it together all day at school for the most part and comes home and breaks down. And so the system doesn't necessarily work for him, and not because he doesn't have loving educators who work really hard for him, but it's just not really his space. And I talked him into going to the meet and greet for the PBL, or for the Community Collaborative, and I forgot, and I didn't know, that he was going to go off for an hour and do an activity with some teachers. And I thought, oh gosh, I'm going to go pick him up, and he's going to be really angry with me and be like, I can't believe you made me do this. And an hour later, after we had our Q&A with the teachers, and I was feeling pretty interested and jazzed, I cautiously went over next door to pick him up, and I saw a kid that had hope and excitement, and he was happy, and he came home and didn't stop talking about this idea of what school could be for him in a way that we haven't ever heard before from him. And so I think for us, we have a real sense of hope for him, and then I can see that he has this space where he can really meet his best expectations, because he's an amazing kid. And I think he could do that here and be loved, and he sees that in the teachers already, and came home and told my husband, like, this is what I could do, and this is what I can achieve here. And so I hope that you'll consider this, and that he'll have the opportunity to meet, to achieve what he can. So thank you.
Thanks. Next up, we have Ryan Stover.
Thank you. So my name is Ryan Stover. I am the parent of two PSD students and two future Compass students. And I come here tonight to speak from the perspective of, we've heard quite a bit of talk of innovation in our community. And for the last 6 years, I have been a co-founder of a tech startup here in Fort Collins. And the world that I have existed in is really indescribable. It's the kind of thing you'd only see in a movie or a TV show, but that more and more is what the workplace is becoming. So for the last 6 years, we've employed about 40 people, and our last 7 hires were out of Denver and Boulder and California. It is really hard to find people in Fort Collins that are accustomed to and can survive or even thrive in the innovative space that is becoming what business is. So when I look at Compass, the thing that's so exciting is that here within our community, we can bring this experience that I see on a daily basis as the future of business into young people's lives, because it's an experience. It's not just about skills. It's not just about knowledge. It's about being able to take ownership of a complex problem, to be constantly learning within a problem space. I mean, these are the things that we do every day, and it's why a lot of people have come to work for us and have failed. So I see in the Compass model a way to really bring that energy into our community from a very young age so that we can close this gap between our neighbors like Boulder and Denver, not because we want to be Boulder or Denver, but because the future requires human beings who can function in this way. And if we're not building them, they're going to be leaving here, or we're going to be bringing them in. And I really encourage you guys to look at Compass as a way to fuel all of the innovation that's happening in our community, and that all of the things that these students will go on to do are directly a product of you guys here, deliberating about whether or not to allow this to happen. And I strongly, as a business owner here in Fort Collins, encourage you to let this happen. So thank you.
Thank you. Brittany McAllister.
Hi, everybody. My name is Brittany McAllister, and I am here today as a teacher. I'm a dance teacher, and I just wanted to offer some thoughts and my perspective on Compass as a potential place of employment from a teacher's perspective. So I have a little bit of a unique perspective. I moved here last fall, from Nashville, Tennessee, so I'm from the South. And I worked at a school there that was a really high-achieving, innovative school. I worked as a dance teacher in the fine arts department as one of the dance teachers. What I experienced there was a little bit unique. It was just really hands-on experiential learning for the students and interdisciplinary in every single way, which is what I really became passionate about and fell in love with about being a teacher. I loved that I wasn't just a dance teacher. I loved teaching dance as well, but I was also getting to go and work with math teachers, working in the fine arts department, working on terminology, doing all kinds of experiential things in different departments. So last year when I moved here and relocated with my husband, that's exactly what I was looking for and what I was excited about as an educator. So I've been in the process of getting my master's at UNC in dance education and doing all the research and what's working. And it just seems to be directly aligned with everything that we've been talking about with Compass. The vision and the priorities of Compass just excite me as an educator on every level. I'm excited about what it would be like to work there, what it would be like to engage with the kids, and the kind of curriculum that we would get to develop and the types of interactions we would get to have with them every single day. And I think that it would be an awesome asset to this really vibrant community. So, thank you.
Thank you. Kayla Vinendal? Kayla Vinendal? Did Kayla leave? Okay, Emma. I just have Emma here. Okay.
Hi everyone, my name is Emma Wallace and I graduated from Poudre High School in 2015. My senior year in high school, I decided that I wanted to go outside of school and find an internship in event management, since that was a career that I thought I wanted to pursue after I graduated high school and went to college. I was lucky enough to know someone that was willing to take me on. That is not the case for a lot of students, high school students especially, since we're so young. But she was wonderful and took me on, and I was able to have an incredible and enriching experience. And because of that, I knew that I wanted to study event planning and business in college. I'm in my senior year at CSU right now, and I have a wonderful job that I absolutely love. Many of my friends and co-students did not have this opportunity and are they're not sure what they want to do in college, and they've been switching majors and they don't know what they want to do. And so since I was lucky enough to have an internship, I don't have that experience, but I feel that if Compass includes internships in their curriculum, this would be vastly helpful to their students, because it would allow them to explore areas of interest towards them and to see if that's something that they actually want to do in college, so they're not wasting time and money switching majors in a major university. Thank you.
Thank you. Devin Parker, please.
Good evening, school board members. My name is Bevan Parker. I am a small business owner here in Fort Collins, Downtown Development Authority board member, and mother of children attending Poudre schools. I am here tonight to express my support for the charter of the Compass Community Collaborative School. As one of the leading companies in the construction industry in northern Colorado, I see firsthand the lack of available talent and excitement for the skilled trades in our industry. We are becoming an aging workforce and see Compass as a means to help shape young people with the mindset, skills, and community focus that are essential for the rapid growth that Fort Collins and northern Colorado is facing. I believe Compass will give the young people in our community the opportunity to be prepared for and feel value in the career path they choose. High school prepares you for college. Compass will prepare you for life. I am supportive of this school model and look forward to opportunities for collaboration with the Compass Community Collaborative School in the future. Thank you for your time this evening and the opportunity to express my support for the charter of this exciting new school.
Thank you. Chris Dominic.
Good evening, and thank you guys for hearing us out tonight. So my name is Chris Dominic, and I was born and raised in Fort Collins. I have some very deep roots to this community, a very large family, and two parents who were 30-plus year educators within PSD. So I was raised with a love for lifelong learning. I wanted to come here tonight to talk about the work-based learning component to Compass High School. So it's something that we would require of every student coming through the doors by the time they graduate. And I have had the opportunity to manage the work-based learning program at Rocky Mountain High School the last few years. And I've seen the transformation that can happen to students who are able to get out into the community and experience firsthand what it means to have a job in the career field that they would like to enter. So I've seen students go into Rare Italian. We had internships at the restaurant downtown where they could go in and put their chef skills to the test. And it's amazing. I've seen kids that have loved that experience and want to continue in that field. And I've also seen students who decided it wasn't for them. It's much different going from a kitchen in a high school to a kitchen that is run by a chef. Way different, right? A little bit of pressure. So it's really incredible. I had a student come from Africa with some incredible challenges, and he was a tinkerer. He loved engineering. He loved the ideas. He loved the theories. He loved figuring things out and figuring out why things didn't work. He had the opportunity to work as an intern at the CSU Energy Institute under a man who worked at the SpaceX program for Elon Musk. So he had this incredible mentor who has changed his entire life. This student is now at CSU, and he is employed by the CSU Energy Institute, and it's amazing to see what can happen to students who are offered the opportunity to really put their skills to the test and to understand what theory means. Theory is rampant in our education, right? They sit in a classroom and they hear theory. To get their hands dirty in those skills and to really see what that means to them, and to be able to decide if that career is for them or not before they go to college and spend thousands of dollars is an amazing and incredible journey. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark Schreiber.
Hey, welcome. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here. I appreciate to be able to speak to you guys. I've been on a board at a charter school for 7 years before, and I totally understand what it's in to be in your seat in a smaller version, all those Saturday meetings and evening meetings, and I just appreciate what you do. I just wanted to put my support out there for Compass. I've been in education for 17 years as administrator, teacher, fellow at many different universities and institutions, and working with innovation right now with schools all around the world, really. And I see Compass just as an opportunity to really be able to get students to think outside the box and to think in a way that's going to be what they need in the future, right? Back to the future, right? Flying cars, right? Uber, a week ago, flying cars, right? I mean, we don't even know what the jobs are going to be in the future, and I kind of wonder, are we putting the right things in their backpacks? I think Compass is going to help them think about what are they putting in their backpacks. I think Pooter is doing the same thing in a lot of ways, and I really see Compass as kind of a nimble opportunity to do that kind of same thing that big corporations do, like Intel. I work with Intel. They have a Freelance Nation section of their program where they basically take people that are in Intel and then they jump onto these side projects because that's a quick way to pivot, quick way to be agile, quick way to jump in. So I really see Compass as an opportunity to do that, and even a way to be able to give back to Pooter School District. I've been a part of Fort Collins since 1990, and I think it's a great place, and we want to stay on the cutting edge. So thank you for all you guys do, and I just appreciate your support for Compass. Thank you.
Thank you. Sam Hager.
Kathy, I didn't catch the gentleman's name.
That was Mark Schreiber.
Okay, thanks.
Next up, we have Sam Hager.
Ms. Kipp, am I the last?
No, there's one more.
Okay, so you can still cut me off to be equal to everybody else. I'll fully expect it out of you. Hi, everybody. I'm Sam Hager, son of 2 educators. I also work in the tech space, and I want to start with a question, which is, how do you make a decision? Is there really a right answer to that? Amazon thinks there is. This is the first question they ask you when they interview. They also then ask you, what kind of experience do you have? And the reason they ask that is because they are really trying to assess whether or not you're going to be able to adapt to situations that are unforeseen, an uncertain future, right? They don't look at your GPA. They don't look at your college degree. I've hired people. I never looked. I'll be honest. Dirty little secret, right? I would propose that actually, I think that's what the essence of Compass really is to provide those experiences that allow you to adapt for an unknown future. If we really ask, like, what is the point of education, right? We're really all here to help kids, to Mark's point, provide them the tools to go out into an uncertain future and thrive. To give you guys a little bit of a sense of how uncertain that future is, there's a study from The Economist that came out in 2014. It says 47% of jobs could be automated away by AI and machine learning and robots by 2034. That means a 5-year-old today at 22, 21, looking out to go get their first job is going to be facing a very, very unknown landscape. the whole point of Compass is to provide kids with the experience and mental models to adapt to that landscape. I don't mean to be doom and gloom at all, but the truth is that we have some really big challenges facing us, and I would argue that it's no longer a choice, it's a responsibility, because we have the power to act now. And rather than just a responsibility, it's an opportunity for Fort Collins as a city, for Colorado as a state, and the U.S. as a nation to start adapting in ways that they can for the kids of our future. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Next up, we have Tom Siegel.
So I just realized I'm last, so unlimited time, right? No, okay. My name is Tom Siegel. Thank you for this opportunity. I am a parent of 2 students in this school district. I think the world of Poudre Public Schools. It's an awesome place. I've only been here for 2 years. I'm also an educator. I work in the Denver Public Schools. I served as a elementary and high school principal for many years. And now I serve as an executive coach for many leaders within Denver Public Schools. And I am also the leadership coach of Jan. When I read in the paper about this charter school, I decided to get involved because I'm a strong advocate of innovation and charter schools and sort of a portfolio approach to schools like they use in Denver. So I'd like to just mention that getting to know Jan over the past few months, we meet weekly and we talk about all the challenges that she's currently facing in getting this charter school up and running. And I see in Jan definitely the heart of an educator. She is someone who can be the chief learner of a school. She really strikes me as someone who has that combination that Jim Collins talks about as level 5 leadership, where she has intense personal humility as a learner, but at the same time, intense professional drive and resolve. And so I think that if you decide to approve this charter, that it's going to be in very good hands in Jan's leadership. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I believe Director Pedersen is going to make a motion.
Yeah, I will make a motion for the following resolution, which you'll forgive me is fairly long, so hang tight. Whereas Compass Community Collaborative School, hereinafter referred to as CCCS, or I'll probably just refer to as Compass if that's okay, filed a charter school application with Poudre School District R1 on August 15, 2017, and filed revisions to the application's budget documents on September 5, 2017. And whereas Compass's charter school application was evaluated by district administrators with expertise on subjects of budget, risk management and insurance, human resources, facilities and operations, curriculum, instruction and assessment, and students with special needs. Also, an application review committee comprised of members of the District Accountability Committee and Liberty Common School representatives Bob Schaefer and Casey Churchill. And 3, the Assistant Superintendent of Elementary Schools, Charter Schools Liaison. And whereas the district subject matter experts, Application Review Committee, and Assistant Superintendent of Elementary Schools, Charter Schools Liaison conferred with Compass representatives at a 2.5-hour hearing on September 13, 2017 regarding the charter school application. And whereas the district subject matter experts, members of the Application Review Committee, and Assistant Superintendent of Elementary Schools, Charter Schools Liaison prepared written insights with analysis and comments to assist the Board of Education in connection with its review of and action on Compass's charter school application. And whereas detailed notes of the September 13, 2017 hearing and the written insights prepared by the district subject matter experts, members of the Application Review Committee, and Assistant Superintendent of Elementary Schools, Charter Schools Liaison were provided to and have been considered by the Board of Education together with an October 10, 2017 executive summary insight and Compass's response to district department review, all attached hereto as Exhibit A, and copies of all these documents were also provided to Compass. And whereas on October 24, 2017, the Board of Education held a hearing on Compass's charter school application at which it asked questions of and received information from Compass representatives, the district's subject matter experts, and Assistant Superintendent of Elementary Schools Charter Schools Liaison. And whereas on November 3, 2017, Compass provided additional information requested by the Board of Education at the October 24th hearing attached hereto as Exhibit B. And whereas the Board of Education and members of the District Accountability Committee have reviewed the charter school application in accordance with the requirements of CRS 2230.5-107.1 and 1.5, and have held public meetings with Compass representatives concerning the application in accordance with the requirements of CRS 2230.5-107.2, and, we're getting there, whereas the Board of Education has considered the charter school application, the Charter School Acts, district policies and regulations, the district's charter application review handbook, written insights prepared by the district's subject matter experts, members of the application review committee, and the Assistant Superintendent of Elementary Schools Charter Schools Liaison, detailed notes of Compass's September 13, 2017 hearing with the district's subject matter experts and application review committee, and additional information submitted by Compass after its October 24, 2017 hearing before the Board of Education. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education, now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board that the charter school application is approved for Compass to begin operations for the 2018-2019 school year in the fall of 2018 for a term of 5 years, subject to and pending satisfaction of the following terms and conditions, as well as all other terms and conditions that might be required by law. So here are the conditions. 1, because the charter school application does not include any proposal or information regarding an online school or program, Compass is not authorized under this resolution to provide educational services to students through any form of online school or program, including but not limited to an online school or program created or operated pursuant to CRS 2230.7-101 at SEEK. 2, Compass shall submit to the district on or before November 30th, 2017 at 4 p.m. evidence for board consideration at its December 12th, 2017 meeting that Compass is in sole, irrevocable, and unconditional possession of funds in the amount of $1 million transferred from the Community Foundation of Northern Colorado. If the board determines that Compass did not submit acceptable evidence on November 30th, 2017 that it is in sole, irrevocable, and unconditional possession of funds in the amount of $1 million transferred from Community Foundation of Northern Colorado, the charter school application shall be deemed to be denied by the board on December 12th, 2017. In no event shall board action described in this paragraph be construed as a revocation of or a refusal to renew a purported charter or charter school contract concerning Compass. 3, Compass shall negotiate and sign a charter school contract and submit it to the district on or before January 10, 2018 at 4 p.m. for board consideration at its January 23, 2018 meeting that A, is mutually acceptable to the board and Compass, B, is generally consistent with the form, procedures, deadlines, and other administrative aspects of the district's current charter school contracts with Liberty Common School, Ridgeview Classical Schools, Mountain Sage Community School, and Fort Collins Montessori School. C, includes an economically viable budget that supports the facilities, equipment, materials, operations, and educational program represented in the charter school application. D, requires Compass's written disclosure to parents, guardians of every student enrolled in the school, approved in advance by the district, of the method by which students' credits and grades will be determined upon their transfer between Compass and other schools. E, prohibits any post-secondary school requirements as a condition of high school graduation. F, requires the majority of Compass's board of directors be elected by parents, guardians of schools enrolled at the school. Of students enrolled at the school. And G, is contingent on Compass's satisfaction of other terms and conditions in this resolution. If the board determines that the requirements of this Section 3 are not satisfied, the charter school application shall be deemed to be denied by the board on January 23, 2018. You're going to hear this a couple of times. In no event shall the board action described in this paragraph be construed as a revocation of or a refusal to renew a purported charter or charter school contract concerning Compass. 4, Compass shall submit to the district on or before February 28, 2018 at 4 p.m. a facility lease or purchase agreement in a form that both Compass and the landlord seller are prepared to sign for board consideration at its March 20, 2018 meeting. If the board determines on March 20, 2018 that the agreement is acceptable, both parties must sign it and submit it to the district on or before March 23, 2017 at 4 p.m. Compass shall also submit to the district on or before February 28, 2017 at 4 p.m. for board consideration at its March 20, 2018 meeting the following additional documents acceptable to the board in both form and substance. A budget, drawings, and bid documents demonstrating that Compass has sufficient funds available for the lease, purchase, construction, and operation of the facility. B, a schedule for permitting and construction of the facility that demonstrates a certificate of occupancy can be issued by August 1, 2018. C, evidence that any financing related to the facility is authorized under federal and Colorado state law and complies with all applicable public school finance and budget requirements. D, evidence that when the certificate of occupancy is issued, the facility will be of adequate size and configuration to appropriately serve children in the program described in Compass's charter school application. And E, evidence that when the certificate of occupancy is issued, the facility will be in compliance with all applicable floodplain and zoning requirements. If the board determines that the requirements of this section 4 are not satisfied, the charter school application shall be deemed to be denied by the board on March 20, 2018. In no event shall the board action described in this section be construed as a revocation of or refusal to renew a purported charter or charter school contract concerning Compass. 5. Compass shall submit to the district on or before March 16, 2018 at 4 p.m. for board consideration at its, did I say March? I meant May 16, 2018 at 4 p.m. for board consideration at its May 22, 2018 meeting, an employee handbook that is appropriately aligned with the charter school application and with governing law. If the board determines that the requirements of this section 5 are not satisfied, the charter school application shall be deemed to be denied by the board on May 22, 2018. In no event shall the board action described in this section be construed as a revocation of or a refusal to renew a purported charter or charter school contract concerning Compass. 6. Compass shall submit to the district on or before May 16, 2018 at 4 p.m. for board consideration at its May 22, 2018 meeting signed agreements with no fewer than 10 businesses specifying terms and conditions of the Compass internship program at each of the businesses, including terms and conditions for the internship of English language learners and students with disabilities, which are acceptable to the board. If the board determines that the requirements of Section 6 are not satisfied, the charter school application shall be deemed to be denied by the board on May 22, 2018. In no event shall board action described in this section be construed as a revocation of or a refusal to renew a purported charter or charter school contract concerning Compass. 7. Compass shall submit to the district on or before May 16, 2018 at 4 p.m. for board consideration at its May 22, 2018 meeting district-approved enrollment forms signed by parents, guardians that serve to enroll no fewer than 140 full-time equivalent students in grades 6 through 10 at Compass for the 2018-2019 school year, including names, addresses, ages, and grade levels for all such students. If the board determines that the requirements of this section 7 are not satisfied, the charter school application shall be deemed to be denied by the board on May 22, 2018. In no event shall the board action described in this section be construed as a revocation of or a refusal to renew a purported charter or charter school contract concerning Compass. 8. The Compass school facility shall be completed in accordance with the terms and conditions specified in Section 4 above and in accordance with all applicable building and fire code requirements, and Compass shall secure all required certificates of occupancy regarding the facility on or before August 1, 2018. If the board determines at its August 14, 2018 meeting that the requirements of this Section 8 are not satisfied, the charter school application shall be deemed to be denied by the board on August 14, 2018. In no event shall the board action described in this section be construed as a revocation of or a refusal to renew a purported charter or charter school contract concerning Compass. 9. Compass shall prepare and submit to the district an economically viable budget for the 5-year charter term in each of the following circumstances. A, upon the approval or denial of any grant funding reflected in Compass's November 2nd, 2017 budget. B, upon submission of a facility lease or purchase agreement and or any one or more of the additional documents specified in Section 4 above, and upon any changes to the submitted agreement and or documents. And C, upon submission of the district-approved enrollment form specified in Section 7 above, and upon any decrease in projected student enrollment after the submission of such forms. Together with each revised budget prepared and submitted in accordance with the terms and condition of this Section 9, Compass shall also prepare and submit a written explanation of all differences between the revised budget being submitted and the immediately preceding budget. If the board determines at its next meeting after the date on which a revised budget is due that the requirements of this Section 9 were not satisfied, the charter school application shall be deemed to be denied by the board as of the date of the meeting at which such determination is made. In no event shall the board action described in this section be construed as a revocation of or a refusal to renew a purported charter or charter school contract concerning Compass. 10. Upon request from Compass and its demonstration that it is working diligently to meet the requirements set forth in sections 2 to 9 above, the board may, but is not required to adjust any of the timelines or other terms and conditions set forth in these sections, in those sections, provided there is good cause for Compass's inability to meet the timeline and or other terms and conditions at issue. In accordance with CRS 2230.5-1074, the district administration is hereby directed to provide a copy of this resolution to the Colorado Department of Education within 15 days of its adoption date. Assuming we all vote for this, or a majority votes for this, it will be adopted this 14th day of November 2017 by the Poudre School District R1 Board of Education.
Thank you for reading that. Do we have a second?
Second.
Nate. Okay. Discussion and comments by board members. Nate.
I think something that wasn't included in the resolution was the phrase super kick butt. Initially, I'd like to thank Legal and Policy Counsel Tom Crabb for drafting these mind-numbing resolutions for our consideration. And thanks to the Compass community for all the work you put in getting ready for this meeting. I'm excited about the prospect and possibilities that Compass represents, and I'm confident that the district and Compass can negotiate a charter contract, and I look forward to voting in favor of the resolution. Thank you.
Other board comments? Carolyn.
Like Nate, I'd like to thank everybody who came tonight and everybody who's stuck in there with us through this really long process. I know that you guys have done a lot of work, and I really appreciated the community comment tonight. It was very touching. Some of your personal stories were really touching, and so I'd like to thank you for that. I guess I'm really excited about this project-based learning, especially because we have a very successful project-based learning school in Polaris that's done terrific work. They've gone from probably last in the district to the top of the district into their performance framework. This is a program that I think works, and I look forward to seeing how you guys do. Thank you.
Anyone else? Susan and then Christoph.
I too would like to say that I do appreciate all the work that the Compass folks have gone through. Well presented, and I really admire your passion, especially. I know I can just see it. You know, I can see the excitement when you presented the last time, and just again the excitement as you go forward. I also want to say that the project-based learning and a lot of the other concepts that you share are things. I said this the last time too. As I go around to our schools, I see a lot of what you were talking about in our classrooms as well, and so I see it as a sharing of best practices. you know, and I don't see that what we're doing is all that different. I do see that Compass does give the community a choice, and so I will vote for you also. Christoph?
Okay, and bear with me, I actually prepared a statement, it helps me. And I'm going to start by saying that it was a hard decision for me not to be here, to miss the hearing on October 24th. Ultimately, I felt good knowing, however, that I could trust the hard work that everybody in this room was doing. And that was very important to me, and it was work in vetting this application from the Insight Group to the central administration and to my fellow board members. So thank you for that. And from what I saw in reviewing the video, it was an impressive and thorough hearing. Thank you all for that effort, and to Compass for diligently and persistently working through the process with us. So while I regret not having been in live attendance during the charter school hearing in October, I have indeed poured through the Compass Community Collaborative School application. I've reviewed the PSD staff insight and the corresponding responses. I have spent the 4+ hours carefully reviewing the recorded hearing, so you guys think you were tortured. I've worked to align that discourse to address my own questions, and I have ultimately deeply reflected on this subject. Launching a new and innovative school with all the inherent financial constraints and educational hurdles is an extremely significant process. The task of applying for a charter school in Colorado, and given the seriousness with which PSD views entrusting students into the all-encompassing care of a charter learning community, is momentous, if not astronomical. And I feel certain that everyone in this room tonight takes very seriously the imperative to honor our future students with an individually relevant and educationally top-flight, PSD-great education. It has become clear to me that the Compass team demonstrates the qualities of dedication and perseverance in abundance. But perhaps more important to me than these qualities is what also stands out is what I will call professional stature that this team before us brought to bear to designing their school, to developing their curriculum, and to educating future students. I am left with the impression that it is not only a highly functional, professional, and dynamic team that is at work on this new school, but importantly, a well-led team with a capacity to confront the many tough decisions and challenges ahead. As such, while many questions remain, and while it seems to me that some ambiguity will persist in the endeavor of turning this innovation into organization and process, I feel comfortable that this team presents credibility to the board and to the district, and that this team is presenting an exciting, distinct, and professional conception of educational that will be of considerable interest to some families in our district. This is a credibility based on years of training and experience in the field, months of diligent collaborative work, evidence of a positive team dynamic, and a clear dedication to the trade of teaching, and ultimately a demonstrated devotion to students. And for my part, I will note that I'm also impressed with their stated mission to help students discover learning with a purpose. And I am moved by their rather audacious vision of creating citizens for our future world dedicated to sustainability, both economic and environmental. Before concluding, I will say once more and publicly, this for the board, as most of the board and the staff here present have heard from me before, that my one regret in this process is that we do not have the mechanism in place to foster this work and educational model within the confines of our regular district infrastructure. Given that a significant proportion of the founding members of Compass Community Collaborative School are or have been well-respected district teachers, and given the effort, focus, and passion presented to us throughout this process, I would like to imagine a day where we may find a way to foster a similar group without the need for launching a charter school. That said, I do fully recognize and honor what our charter community brings to our district, and I truly value that each of our charter schools today represents a group of similarly passionate and independent-minded educators. I believe that Compass Community Collaborative School will present one more high-quality, option for parents in our community to educate their students within the district. In conclusion, I will vote to approve the Compass Community Collaborative School application for its charter within the Poudre School District with the conditions outlined in the resolution.
David.
You may wish I'd have written a statement here before I get done. I want to associate myself generally with what Christoph said, but my response to this thing has been kind of up and down in certain ways. And for example, at the start, your recruitment plan, and I thought it was finally something we were going to get in charters, which was charter populations that reflected the full range of student types that we had in our general population, as opposed to being more of a niche operation. And then I found out that, of course, the laws are such that you really can't put your thumb on the scales, I guess, when you're making choices and things like that. And I was so I was really attracted to that, and then I had to say, so they can't do that, because that's a very high value with me and very important. We had someone from Nashville, and I went to school in the South, and I was at the school that desegregated in 61, 62, and I know the whole downside of segregation and all of that sort of stuff. And so you raised me up, and then you kind of, we couldn't deliver on it.
Don't give up.
Okay, I won't give up on that. Let me check my notes here. On the other hand, at each step of the process, as you've presented it, you all have presented great enthusiasm and great confidence in your abilities. And I think the proposal which we have here shows, yes, I think this board's going to vote for you to go forward with it, but we have a number of concerns along the way, a number of things that you, tasks you still have to complete, and I surely hope you complete them. I will vote yes for this, but I'd love to see that enrollment fixed.
Rob?
Yeah, so as you may gather from my earlier statement, I'm going to vote in favor of the resolution that I don't know how long it took to read, but that I read. Yeah, something like that. I don't have the eloquence that Christoph put into his statement, but I do want to say a couple of things. One of them is that for me, as I've been considering all the materials that we've looked at here, my focus has been primarily, first and foremost, on will this work well for students, right? And that's not only are the ideas good for students, but is the model sustainable? Because I don't think, even if the initial ideas are good for students, if the school goes out of business in the second year or the third year or something like that, that the students will have been served well. So that's really been where the primary focus of my interest has been. Secondarily, I have a responsibility as the member of the board to think about the interests of the district, financial and otherwise. But really, it's been about the students. There's no question that there are challenges ahead of the Compass team putting this charter into motion, both the ones that I read at length, but also just the day-to-day operational stuff once all of those are accomplished. And so there are risks. This is not a 100% guarantee. I recognize that, but very few things in life are a 100% guarantee, and I think the ideas and that you have presented and the model that you have presented will be good for some students. And so I certainly wish you the best in terms of meeting all of the goals and in getting the school going and in meeting the needs of those students. I also would just add at the end here that I heard very clearly in the meeting of the other night your interest in continuing to work with Poudre School District as opposed to isolating yourself off on the side. And while I can't while it's not a condition, I guess, of the charter that you do that, I certainly hope that you follow through on that intention, because I think, pursuant to some of the things that, in fact, that Christoph and other board members have said, I think there's a benefit to, and what you've said, frankly, that there's a benefit to the district and potentially a benefit to you for keeping that close relationship and us learning from each other and growing together. So I look forward to that partnership going forward, and I look forward to voting for this resolution. Thank you.
I think I'm last. So I just want to say first, I do appreciate the passion and enthusiasm and hard work of everybody who's spent time working on this application. And there's, a lot has gone into it. And I think it's also important to recognize that anytime we have a charter school application come before the district, there's a lot of extra work for our staff who put in many, many hours of work, for our community members who take the time to review it and give their input on it. So I would like to especially thank all of them, because it's a lot of time and work that you guys have spent. There's a lot of hurdles ahead of you. There's a lot of hard work and challenges, and I truly wish you luck. I mean, I think that, you guys have something to offer that you feel passionate about and strong, and I think that, some people in our community really think that this is going to benefit them. I think that's great. I'm going to offer a little bit of advice here. I think if it were my charter school and I were opening it, I would not be squandering not a single dollar of that $1 million gift you have received to spend it on things that should be paid for by student enrollment, by, you need to open with 170 students. It says in here 140. I'm not going to change the conditions of the contract, but honestly, facilities, I've been through several of these charter school openings, and it's a really huge hurdle. It's a hard thing to do, and you need every dollar of that money. You don't need to be subsidizing your student count. And just saying, I think I wouldn't subsidize it with additional teachers. You need to be paying for your teachers. You need to be paying for your ongoing expenses out of your student enrollment budget, so that you can put this really big hurdle, which I think is really your biggest one, out there into your facilities, and figure that out. Because every charter school I've been involved with getting going, that's the hugest hurdle they have. So, okay, I'll just say that's the end of my advice, and I think if everybody has had everything they want said, we'll go ahead and vote. And yeah, I think we're ready to do that.
Nate?
Aye.
Christoph?
Aye.
Susan?
Aye.
Kathy?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Carolyn?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay. So I think that you will probably be able, if I'm correct, to pick up tomorrow, or we could probably give you a draft copy of it tonight, the list of all of, not right this second, wait for us to adjourn. Oh, Danielle has copies for you. We will get the signed copies out at some point soon. But yeah, you'll be able to read through that very, very long list and get to work on those. And congratulations. Okay. That brings us to 9.0, which, excuse me, we're still in a meeting here. 9.0, agenda planning. Do any board members have any items that they wish to bring up at future agendas? No, I do actually have one that I think I'd like to put out there for future consideration. So one of the things, and I know that it was in a recent Friday update and it's been brought a little bit to the board, but it's not really been brought to the board. I have concerns when we have schools that are not on whatever the regular plan is for UIPs. I think it's a performance plan. Anything below that. I mean, I know that there are requirements for the improvement plans when students are in priority improvement. But for the schools that are just in like a regular improvement plan or something that's below where we want them to be, we aren't really getting a full reading there on what's going on with those schools. And I think that as a Board of Education, if you're in improvement, you're one step away from priority improvement, and we shouldn't settle for less than the best. And so I really think that the board should be getting some kind of update on a more regular basis, at least annually, to figure out what's going on and what we're doing to support those schools who aren't quite where we want them to be yet. So that would be my request. And board members, how do you feel about that? Carolyn.
I agree with you, Kathy. It's kind of jarring when we get an update and we find out a school is on improvement or I mean, that's kind of jarring. It really is. And I think that we need to understand about the efforts that are being made to get that school back to the performance level. And I think that yeah, we have a duty and an obligation to understand that. So I would have to agree with you.
Are other board members amenable to having this on either, if you think you can do it in a board update, on a Friday update, that's fine, but I think that maybe somehow, whatever the method is most appropriate to get some update. Nate and Christoph.
I just don't know what kind of reports we would get to accomplish that goal. So maybe we can think about it and try to articulate some way that it'll be a productive discussion. So,
Sandra?
How about if I bring you some options of how we might do it on an annual basis?
Christoph?
Yeah, that was essentially my comment as well. If we could find a way to boil it down, give us executive summaries so we're not reading UIP.
Right. I don't want UIPs.
I think Nate captured it.
I just want to know that it's on our radar and that somebody's doing something about it, and we're not just letting things linger until they get to the point where they have to come before the board. I want a little heads up on there. Okay. Anybody else have anything on agenda planning? Okay, that means that we are adjourned at 10:00 at 8:41 p.m. Thanks for hanging in there with us, everybody. Have a good night.